My name is Claire Smith. I'm a Senior Conservation Officer with RSPB Scotland. I worked on the East Scotland Sea Eagle project from 2007 to 2011, which involved collecting chicks from nests in Norway, flying them back over to Scotland, looking after them in captivity for about 3 months, and then releasing them and tracking and following their movements as they spread through the landscape. When the birds are quite young, when they're 5 or 6 weeks old, and you're first taking them from the nest and you're bringing them over, they're very big floppy things with wings and legs and feet which are just all too big for them, and they're quite cowed down, and they're very, very warm and very kind of fusty smelling. And then as you watch them in the aviaries over the summer growing, they start to sort of stretch out, they get this much prouder pose, the eyes change and become a lot more sort of watchful, the beak develops, and you really see everything that's kind of going on behind the eyes and how they're reading the landscape, and they're really just sort of keen to get out there. When you're first involved in the project and you first start losing birds, either birds that have disappeared in suspicious areas or picking up birds, that is really, really hard, because you know that the effort that you've put into it, and volunteers and staff and everyone's been putting into it, and that you've got to go and phone the Norwegians who help collect the birds for you and explain that another bird has been poisoned or another bird has disappeared in suspicious circumstances. Sea eagles belong to everybody in Scotland and everyone across the UK who wants to come and see these birds. They belong in Scotland. This was a successful project paid for by the Scottish Government. And it's also really sad that you become a little bit numb to it. So it's really emotional the first few years, but then you're almost just waiting for the next one and waiting for the next one. And I was thinking about this and thinking, you know, if I was trying to explain to my sort of 15-year-old self that I was not surprised by another sea eagle being poisoned, how depressing that would be. The female that was picked up in April and later turned out to have been poisoned was the grandchild of 2 birds that I'd released that had bred in Angus. When I first got the phone call from our investigations department, yeah, it's really sad to say I didn't initially feel angry. I just felt weary, and this is just like one of many phone calls and emails I've had over the years. You're trying to edge forward to these birds settling and spreading and colonising, and that just keeps getting cut short. And it's also really important to say, I think, that this bird fled from a shooting estate. So it fled from a shooting estate that is well managed, that we work with, that was happy to have the birds there. It was the first time the birds had bred there. You know, they'd been left alone, the estate were excited about them. And then it had gone off and wandered somewhere else and ended up in an area where people are still carrying out illegal activities. I don't think that this is something that's over the top. I have to have a licence to monitor these birds. Most areas of ground and estates are dealing with lots of different licensing in relation to water quality or forestry or farming and cross-compliance. We've dealt with various voluntary schemes over the years, so things like wildlife estates in Scotland, and it just hasn't made any difference. And I just don't think that it should be controversial, if you're managing a large area of land, that you should have to have some other paperwork to deal with.